We'll explore the evolving dynamics in the Malaysian retail sector. For the next half hour, we'll discover insights into consumer behavior, market resilience, and strategic adaptations shaping the industry's trajectory. I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Money Matters. Hello there and welcome to your favorite channel TV3, where our program is also available in HD via Tonton. Today we are joined by the President of the Malaysia Retailers Association, MRA, Datuk Andrew Lim Tatt Keong. Hello, Datuk Andrew. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How have you been?
I'm good also. Thank you so much for joining us here on Money Matters here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
It is our pleasure, Datuk. Now, before we step forward and take a look at the projections for this year and what sort of challenges the retail sector are going to face in terms of the economic conditions of Malaysia, let's take a little step back and take a look at the past year, 2023.
Sure.
Now, the Retail Group Malaysia reported that for the third quarter of 2023, it was a better than expected growth of 2.7% for the retail sector. Now, did this figure really surpass the market expectations, Datuk?
We were hoping for even more, but we were very happy with what we did in that quarter. And of course, going forward, I think the important thing is that the retail market will be active from now until after Raya. So we expect another 3 months of, good retail sales for Malaysia.
I see. Okay. And speaking about Raya and the festive season, we have Chinese New Year coming up.
That's right.
So how are retailers planning to leverage on the expected increase in sales during the Chinese New Year period, the festive season, especially considering the government's 30-day visa-free travel policy? So how exactly, what specific measures are being put in place to attract and also cater to these foreign tourists who are expected to contribute to this increase in sales receipts?
Actually, the moment that the government had announced that foreign tourists would be given 30-day visa-free travel, we have already been very active ordering our goods from overseas, because there's an upstream logistic channel that we have got to order from. And we are looking forward to, our foreign tourists coming into Malaysia. However, for the China market, the mainland China market, for the Chinese New Year period, they stay at home. They call it the Spring Festival. But we hope that, they'll come during their Golden May Day holidays, which is 1st of May onwards. So it's a very positive move for the Malaysian retail market.
All right, fantastic. Now, how is the Retail Association also adapting to the increased shopping activity among consumers amid the weakened spending power, especially due to the increased cost of living that we're facing with these days? And are there any specific strategies in place, perhaps, that you can share to help sustain this sort of consumer engagement in these sort of challenging economic conditions?
You see, the economic phenomenon is called the given good phenomenon. Even during low economic activity or during rising inflation costs, people still need to buy. But, for example, they might not buy the $300 T-shirt, but they'll still have to buy, 150 ringgit worth of T-shirts, for example. Yeah. So we have been actually I wouldn't say downgrading, but we have been actually going down the value chain in order to bring in the correct goods at the correct price to sell to our customers at the correct time. So this is called a given goods phenomenon. For example, you perhaps will have to stock up on more plain bread rather than, multi-grain brown bread.
Yes.
Because people can afford plain bread better than multi-grain brown bread, which is more expensive. The retail market is adjusting. Of course, we hope that the salaries and the wages of the ordinary people will, increase in order to take up what's happening in the country. But I think that will happen in due course.
I see.
Yeah.
So you talk about the changing preferences of consumers just now. How is the retail sector adapting to these changes, these change in preferences for the consumers?
We have to take a hit as far as our bottom line is concerned. I mean, we won't be making supernormal profits. We are actually happy to stay in the game, stay relevant to our customers. And I think a lot of us are, soldiering on. Hopefully that we will be able to come across better times in the future. But I think the better times will be actually inviting more foreign tourists into Malaysia. I think their spending power really helps our local domestic market. So I think the government is doing all the right things at this point in time. And we're very happy.
I see.
And then we always encourage them to do more, though.
So in what areas do you think that the local consumers are actually geared more towards when it comes to their retail preferences?
I think there's a tsunami of rising costs coming. I mean, we also understand oil and gas subsidies will be taken off. We understand that Tenaga is going to charge more for its electricity charges. So I think all of us, all Malaysians are adjusting.
Yes.
And all of us are actually trying to make clear what I call buy value goods.
Yes.
So this is what's happening throughout the country. But I think it's only a temporary phase. I think when interest rates come down and the world economy picks up, Malaysia will pick up at the same time.
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed. All right. So we'll talk more about the changing consumer preferences and also the rising cost of living and how it's affecting consumers in Malaysia. But more on that when we come back. Now it's time for us to go for a short break. After this, more with Datuk Andrew Lim Tatt Keong, President of MRA. Don't go anywhere. Hello there, welcome back to Money Matters. We are still talking to the president of the Malaysia Retailers Association, MRA, Datuk Andrew Lim Tatt Keong. Now, Datuk Andrew, before the break, we touched about the consumers' changing preferences. We still want to see how this is actually affecting consumer behavior and how the Retail Association is adapting to these changes. So how are you addressing the shift in consumer behavior, especially those who are only prioritizing essential purchases such as food and groceries, and what specific strategies are in place for you to adapt to this current situation?
I think our MRA members have been through this before. This is not the first economic downturn or difficult times. I think we've gone through this. Many of them have been long-term players, so they already have, done their earlier purchases from, the manufacturers from China, from all over the country. And then they are now actually positioned nicely to still cater to the different demands that we have now. People still need to buy, they still need to purchase for Raya, for Chinese New Year and all that. But they will be buying value for money rather than, in prosperous times, they will maybe be splashing a bit around for luxury goods. So that's already in place. We are now right in the middle of the peak periods. So all that has been done 3 to 6 months ago.
Okay.
Yes.
So you said that we've been through this situation before.
We have been through this before.
So obviously the Retail Association has looked at the situation in the past and how you can actually move forward to address it in the future. So what sort of specific steps can you share, if possible, that the Retail Association has taken or will be taking as seen as effective in actually addressing this situation? Because as you mentioned just now, the increased cost of living, it's inevitable.
That's right. So we are not only looking at our domestic consumers, but we are looking at the foreign tourists, the international consumers who come by. For example, now Singaporeans come to Johor more. We are tracking them about 12 to 15% into our Johor market, for example. And we are encouraging the government to, do everything to encourage foreign tourists. Everything that's good to bring them in is good. Everything that's bad, that discourages them, should not be done, for example. Because we need to have that foreign forex expenditure into our country. It helps our ringgit, it helps our retail market, and it also helps to cross-subsidize for a lot of things that we have to spend. So I think there's and the weak ringgit is an advantage here because the weak ringgit is very affordable for Singaporeans or Hong Kong people or mainland Chinese who come to Malaysia. So in a way, it's an advantage.
All right. Now, speaking about the government and what they can actually do to help, do you think that the government grants and also cost of living assistance that has been given, how has it affected consumer behavior? And what challenges or maybe even opportunities do you see emerging from this situation?
You see, every time the government gives out, say, a subsidy or a grant, say, for example, they spend 100 million ringgit for, say, our B40 rakyat, to help them with the cost of living and all that. Actually, it's a multiplier of 10. 100 million is actually multiplied by 10 times 1 billion local stimulus in our Malaysian economy. So it is not just 100 million that they are spending. So I think we always encourage them to, but you must give it to the right people, of course, and it helps our economy all the time. So we are very grateful to the government for doing that. But we understand we have to be fiscally conservative and responsible. So they can't do it all the time.
Yes. Indeed, indeed. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you mentioned just now, the implementation of targeted fuel subsidies. Let's elaborate on that. Do you foresee any perhaps challenges or opportunities for retailers which can emerge from these targeted fuel subsidies? And how is the Retail Association working to address or maybe even capitalize on this issue?
There are no good things to say about this increased cost. It's a hit to our bottom line for all our MRA members. But we understand. We understand that it is necessary for the country to move away from petrol subsidies so that our ringgit now will be strengthened. The economic conditions of our economy will be strengthened. So we understand why it's being done. So I think we in MRA, all our retailers, we are gritting our teeth and, taking the hit.
I see.
Because it's necessary for the whole country.
Yes.
We are hoping that after we cross over this, then there'll be more prosperous times to come.
Is there any way that the Retailers Association can actually collaborate with the government, perhaps, to navigate effectively the impact of these targeted fuel subsidies?
We always, we just had a Bank Negara session. They came to visit us and we gave them our feedback. In fact, Bank Negara off and on asks us for our statistics and our feedback. And we're happy to cooperate with them, of course. And we keep saying to them they should stagger. They should actually phase in whatever increase in costs that the government needs to implement in our economy, because that will help the B40 rakyat.
Yes.
Of course, even now, a lot of M40 has become B40, because of this increase in costs.
Yeah.
The T20, fine, they'll take care of themselves. But they should actually stagger it. The Bank Negara or the Ministry of Finance should stagger it so that the impact is not so great upon our rakyat.
Yes, I see. All right. Well, Datuk, it's time for us to take another short break.
Sure.
We will be back after this with more with the president of the Malaysia Retailers Association. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Money Matters. We're still with Datuk Andrew Lim Tatt Keong, President of the Malaysia Retailers Association, MRA. Datuk Andrew, so far it's been a wonderful conversation talking about the Retail Association in Malaysia, but we also want to know about the rising costs of manpower and also operating costs such as water, electricity and also rental costs, which have gone up recently. How is the Retail Association actually fostering collaboration between the government bodies, the stakeholders, and also the businesses to sort of implement sustainable solutions to navigate the sort of multifaceted economic landscape, so to speak?
That is a very long question, and it'll take a very long answer. But I think the short answer is that this government is committed to actually making our economy viable. So we find that they are very proactive. They will always consult with us. Unlike previous times when consultation wasn't so often, but we have been trying to feed back to them what needs to be done. For example, on rising wage costs, we have advised that they should actually split the regions. For example, instead of having one minimum wage, you should have several minimum wages. For example, the minimum wage in Perlis would be lower than the minimum wage in the Klang Valley. So that would help actually to attract labour into the right markets. So, and then, for example, we have also been against a luxury tax. I think the luxury tax sends the wrong messages to our international visitors, and our competing neighbours, would be actually making fun of us. Oh, there's a luxury tax in Malaysia, for example, but they don't know that it doesn't apply to foreigners, it only applies to locals. But they will play on that. So people will not want to come to Malaysia for luxury purchasing. So that is actually a loss of business to our Malaysians. And even a luxury tax on our Malaysians is also not productive because our Malaysian T20 will just go overseas and purchase luxury items. So a luxury tax is not a viable thing. But this is what our frank opinion is to the government. But at least they receive our opinion.
Yeah.
In the old days, our opinion is not even solicited for. So I think there's a move in the right direction.
Okay, fantastic. Now, speaking about the prices of goods, there's been some feedback recently in recent months, if I'm not mistaken, from FOMCA has actually mentioned that retailers have been marking up the prices of goods. Now, has the association responded to these comments? And if so, what are your reactions to this? Well,
I think the Ministry of Domestic Trade monitors this very closely. I mean, we are not allowed to gazump our prices. There must be some kind of rational justification why goods and services go up in prices.
Yes,
it is not totally unregulated. So I think on that score, the Ministry of Domestic Trade has been doing a very good job doing that. Yeah, so the rakyat should not feel any fears or insecurities about this area. The moment you increase prices too much, the Ministry of Domestic Trade will be coming to you straight away.
All right, that's
especially about false sales.
Yes.
There are a lot of instances of bad retailers putting up false sales. That is also cracked down upon very seriously by the Ministry of Domestic Trade.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So the Malaysian retail market size is estimated at $86.66 billion in 2024 and is expected to reach $119.64 billion by 2029. So how is the Retail Association positioning itself for these projections, and what specific measures, if possible, if you can share with us, are being implemented to ensure a more meaningful contribution to the country's overall economic landscape?
The 5-year Malaysia plan in the 80s had envisaged that Malaysia becomes a shopping paradise of Southeast Asia. And that was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And what you have quoted to me actually seems to be very small increases. It's only about 3 billion per annum, for example, increase. And we would like it to be, faster, please. I mean, hopefully, it's done within a couple of years, for example. Malaysia should be promoted as a shopping paradise of Southeast Asia. We've got so many things going for us. We have the infrastructure, we've got the tourist facilities, we've got the wonderful food, we've got the heritage. I think the concept of promoting Malaysia as a shopping paradise of Southeast Asia should be what we revert back to. And the MRA members feel that we should increase our volume of retail industry faster than 2029, for example. Please, it's a long way away.
Yes, indeed. So has the association actually voiced this, and how are you actually planning to work towards this goal?
I think on the government side, on the public sector side, they are sometimes reluctant to forecast too much, too fast.
Yeah.
Whereas on the private sector side, we're just in a hurry. So I think they have not consulted with us about how to expand the retail industry in Malaysia. This is the first time I've heard of these statistics, for example. But I would encourage the government to do more faster. There's a huge opportunity in Malaysia. I mean, we've got everything going for us. Malaysia is truly Asia.
Indeed.
Much more than that small island Singapore or Thailand and all that. So we can actually do it very quickly.
Yes.
And I hope that we'll be able to achieve it now within a couple of years. What's the figure you said again?
By 2029, it is expected to reach $119 billion.
Can we do it by 2025?
Well, we'll see, I guess, Datuk Andrew.
Because all the infrastructure is there.
Yes.
All the retailers are there, all the shops are there, the malls are there, and there are more malls coming up. TRX has been opened, for example.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why can't we do more quickly?
Indeed, why not?
Why not?
So I guess we'll check in with you again in probably a few years or a few months from now, and we'll see how the projections are then.
That's right. Not only check in, but please do come and shop.
Yes, I will.
That's more important.
All right, thank you so much, Datuk, for being with us here on Money Matters. It's been amazing speaking to you. I mean that.
Thank you very much for having me.
But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Money Matters this week. Thank you.
See you in our shops.
Yes, I will. I will see you, Datuk. And that was our guest, Datuk Andrew Lim Tatt Keong, President of the Malaysia Retailers Association. Thank you once again for joining us this week. And for the past half hour, you've been with us on Money Matters. If you missed any part of this episode, you can also catch it up on Tuntun. Be sure to join us again next week, same time, right here on TV3. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.